This is all about home construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Randy.
Morning.
What's going on, buddy?
Still can't hear you.
Well, it's because you got a little thing there you got to turn up called a volume.
I got music playing.
I know. Music is playing. Of course it is.
I still can't hear you.
Anyway, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good.
Well, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you and everybody. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, and I can hear me just fine. It's a Randy thing.
Oh, different microphone.
Different microphone. Yeah, you're good. I got you. I got you in.
Well,
Yeah.
doggone it, Terry. I know it's the anniversary of Helene, but you still got to feed them ducks and squirrels.
Hey, it's everything's fine on my end. This is a Randy end. So anyway, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Just sitting here talking to you and talking about our show today, and it's an anniversary.
That's right. It is. It's the anniversary of Helene, the 1 year anniversary, October 27th, and September 27th. Listen to me, I can't even talk this morning. September 27th, the anniversary, right. And it is. This is the 1 year, and lots of people, lots of anxiety going on right now because we've had 24 hours of rain, or not 24 quite, but still we've had quite a bit of rain the last yesterday and today and this morning. I think a lot of people are worried about what's going on today, and of course you hear about this hurricane, or not hurricane, but tropical storms coming off the coast, and lots of memories are coming back.
Oh yeah. So. Well, we actually needed the rain though. We were getting dry.
I was telling somebody that I was like, I totally get where you're coming from, but it's been dry. It's been dry, so I kind of was welcoming a little bit of rain here. So,
well, we've been lucky. We've not had any forest fires, which has been great.
Right.
But we got a lot of stuff down.
Yeah.
And next year will be just as bad with the stuff in the woods, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Things don't. Wood doesn't rot overnight. It takes years, and one thing I'm sure we're going to talk about later on today is we'll compare this to Hurricane Hugo again. But I can remember Hurricane Hugo in the 80s, and it seems like for a decade or more there were still trees, debris, I guess you'd say, damage and stuff from that. So. Yeah. We're going to have dry tinder for years to come from this.
Well, the way to cure it, just wintertime moisture.
Yep.
Get the molds growing.
Yep, exactly. Get it down and break it apart. And those bugs that we don't like, let them eat it up. So, but then the other thing is just cleaning it up. But how do you clean up the woods? So that's the key. Anyway, so I say all that to say, it's been quite the year since this hurricane, Category 4 hurricane, officially hit land. On the 26th, hit us on the 27th, and it's crazy. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It actually surprised me.
Yeah.
I didn't really think we were going to get it.
Well, I don't think any of us did. Record-breaking rainfall in a lot of North Carolina, western North Carolina. And that's, being here in the high country, that's what we're going to talk the most about is western North Carolina. And, just these catastrophic flooding, landslides, infrastructure damage, residential damage, just crazy. We depends on where you look at, what report you look at, anywhere from 20 to 30 inches of rain. I think one thing that often gets overlooked on this when we talk about the rain is the rain that came before the hurricane.
Ground was saturated.
Yeah, because we had close to, depends on where you're at, we had some places starting to get single digits of rain before the hurricane hit, and so when you have close to 10 inches and then you tack on another 20 inches of rain, you're quickly up to 30.
Yep.
And that's a lot of rain. That's a lot of rain in just 24, 48 hour period. So flash floods. How many times have we seen flash floods where just a few inches of rain causes damage? and now we're in 30 plus, inches. It's definitely a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little history because, we know about our history. I missed it by 1 year. I told Terry it was 1917, but it was actually 1916, was the Great Flood that set the boundaries for all the floodplains in North Carolina. And it wiped Asheville out in 1916.
Right.
And so this flood here now it will be dictating what the new floodplains are.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's changed so much too because each storm, and we were mentioning off the air about the 40s, the flood in the 40s. I think that one's kind of interesting, mostly because we talk about it in Watauga and the surrounding counties because that's why we don't have trains anymore.
Correct, and that probably, timber was a big thing for us.
Right.
Which timber was, going away.
And that's kind of what caused the flood, though, when you're looking at it, is that we had clear cut so much. But my point is, like, when you start to get these landslides and things from the flood and the flood damage, it changes the geography. And we can see that. Like, we have mountains that have now changed the shape thanks to Hurricane Helene, massive landslides in the region. And all of that, and then, of course, rocks and stuff changing in the rivers. It affects the floods, and so I get it. Like you have to reanalyze and to determine how things are going to flood, because I think things are going to flood different than they did 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was telling Terry last Saturday. I went down Peoria to the river, took my grandson fishing, and some of the roots I seen of some of the trees was 3-4 inches across, still in the ground, but there was no tree, no stump, no nothing. And it was pretty rough. I finally realized I was a senior citizen walking with my tennis shoes on all them rocks and stuff. And but at least I didn't catch one horny head, so that was a good sign that
there's life.
There's life. I seen quite a few minnows, missed a few smallmouth, not very big, but there is life in the river, and that really concerned me.
Well, I was talking to some people who in the sort of that industry of fishing, and the trout or the native trout were spawning this time of year.
Yes,
and so and it didn't occur to me, but yeah, they're spawning this time of year. So when you get that kind of flood damage in the rivers, that much water, it changes the river up. They lost a lot of spawning, a lot of the eggs, a lot of the the babies, the trout, the native trout, that is. But they're saying that they're doing okay. That like they were, the guy I was talking to was saying that no, they're still around. He was actually pleasantly surprised at the amount that he's seeing. Just not a lot of young fish.
Well, North Carolina always stocks sterile fish.
Right.
So it does not damage the natural population.
Right.
Maybe they need to start breeding some natural population.
Getting some natural in there.
I can understand with the brown trout. Brown trout are really aggressive.
Right.
They grow real fast. They wouldn't have any problem eating a 6-7 inch native.
Right.
But, everybody doesn't understand what a native looks like. Mm-hmm. And so if it's 6 inches long, they don't pay no attention to it. They'll take it home.
Right. Right.
And, out of all the fish that they stock, an average 10% or less will be able to breed. Mm-hmm. And it's nice, to catch a wild rainbow or a wild brown in some of these creeks, like upper end of Fosco.
Sure.
There's a lot of fish that will spawn up there and bring down into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
If they're still there.
Well, that's the thing. I think one good thing, in terms of the recovery of the the fish population is people's just not been able to fish this year, and so I think that's helped the population of the fish that's there. At least they're not getting thin.
Well,
now.
they have been stocking, okay, in the catch and release waters, so they're still catching fish there. But where I went, there was no stocking. So
right.
And I've heard of some people catching some big trout in the river. I've heard more people catching some big fish in New River, which New River took all of our burden.
Yeah.
And because I have a client that lives over on Railroad Grade Road, and he said that it was totally amazing that they were at home when the Helene hit and the water rose up above their road. Their house was too high, but his neighbor's house, it got all the way through it, not more than a quarter mile away. So.
Yeah. That's oof. Well, okay, so that brings us in, to some of the topic more of the damage here in the high country, and a lot of damage is done. They're reporting the North Carolina budget, then tax center, I guess it is. Anyway, they reported that in North Carolina, Western North Carolina, was over 75,000 homes damaged from this, and their estimate on residential, this is not commercial, I just was looking for residential because we're all about home construction here, $12.7 billion in residential damage in North Carolina.
Wow.
Again, that's not infrastructure, that's not roads, that's not commercial buildings, that's residential. And so more than 75,000 homes considered damaged across North Carolina.
State highways and bridges, $6 billion.
Isn't that crazy?
And municipal roads and bridges, another $1.7 billion.
So you're quickly adding up when you add in all of that. $20 billion. That doesn't I would imagine close to the same in commercial buildings, especially when you figure in Asheville and places like that had these businesses down.
$844 million in public education facilities.
Oh, that's and I think that's an interesting, because that number to me, being part of that education world, I'm curious what all that includes, because that it takes, for instance, here in the county, Watauga, we have Valley Cruces.
Yep.
Not only did we lose the building, there's a lot of stuff inside that building that probably didn't get counted in that number. And I know that sounds petty, but when you start adding up, a computer, a TV, books, it jumps up. So I don't know, but the statewide damage estimates, according to North Carolina, is, and I don't know when this number came out. I think this was back in September 9th of this year is when this was updated. $59.6 billion is the statewide North Carolina estimate from Helene.
Okay, I'm getting mine from Carolina Public Press.
Okay, yep.
So we're looking at two different, websites here.
$60 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah, they give you a comparison. Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Florence in 2018. See, this is a little hard to understand. The numbers dwarf the expenses incurred by Hurricane Florence in 2018 and Hurricane Matthew in 2016, which cost $17 billion and one cost $5 billion. And like I was asking Terry, they're not saying anything about agriculture that these storms decimated.
Right. And some of that agriculture, how do you value that? Because it's not just, let's take, for instance, here in the high country, Christmas trees. It's not just this past year's trees that were damaged, right? It's generations.
What's the future?
Futures of trees. But then when we start talking about floods and landslides, you're talking about the geography. What is it going to take, to get these drawing a blank, the Christmas tree farms? What's it going to take to get this land back to agricultural status, right?
Well, FEMA don't help them,
right? And that's the thing, but that's where, when it comes to, let's just take, for instance, you work in the hay field.
The hay fields are decimated.
Yeah, and it's not just, okay, you lost last year's crop, that last cutting or whatever, which is terrible in itself, but now, a year later, you're still struggling from that land because it's washed out, and so it's not. It's this year's crop is not the same as it was the year before,
right?
And it's going to take a while to get back.
They're saying $2.6 billion in crop losses, and another $557 million expenses for land restoration.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and there's a lot of small farms too. In the western North Carolina mountains, lots of small farms, and so what kind of livestock damage? Wasn't large enough numbers to make some government website.
Well, good thing about a lot of farms, their bottoms is used for hay, the hills are used for the cattle, but you never know, with these slides and stuff. I've been through storms and gone up on the mountain to see where trees fell on a cow.
Yeah, right.
And that's on a regular thunderstorm.
Yeah,
that you don't have any idea that tree's going to fall.
It's crazy. So, tell you what, why don't we take our first break, and then that way we can come back and we'll dive into some more of this Hurricane Helene, all about home construction. Keep it about the home construction in the next break. Thanks for listening to us. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us, both on the podcast and on the radio. Give us an email, allabouthomeconstruction@gmail.com. We'd love to get you on there. Facebook page, All About Home Construction. If you're listening to the podcast, you can put a comment in the podcast section. You can also share this with friends. Did I check all the boxes there?
Pretty close.
All right, I'll try. So anyway.
And you can even call in.
Yeah, 828-262-1567. 1567.
I was trying to find out a total cost of Helene because most people don't think it hit Florida.
Right. We forget. We're so damaged that we forget. Yeah.
And they estimated September 30th in 2024, not long after the storm, at $160 billion.
I wonder what it would actually,
And I'm trying to find.
I can't find any updated number. That's a good point.
And I can't either.
So, now I did pull together some damage reports, some housing damages. And again, this is various news outlets that I'm pulling these from. So, take it what you can. I know it's not just one news, not, one official site, but it's talking here about, well, I was a little curious about the sort of the numbers and the costs. Again, focusing on residential since we like home construction here. So this isn't commercial, which I think is important because this is the everyday people. This is where we live. This is our friends, our families. But the number of homes estimated damages, I told you that the official number that North Carolina put out was over 75,000 homes. WUNC, a couple other news outlets estimated over, and this is now I don't know how they determine damage on this, but they're saying the estimate's over 126,000 homes had hurricane damage.
Well, there's a lot of property that's been condemned that can't be ever built back on.
And now this is single family manufactured home, duplexes, things like that. So that's a lot, and that number to me, yes, it's a lot, but that estimated is that estimate's a lot closer to what I would think rather than that 75,000 that I told you earlier. And then now this is major damaged, destroyed homes. There's about 10,000, and this is homes that again basically were considered destroyed. Close to 10,000 homes destroyed. Residential repair needs, the this is wind and flooding. It's over $12 billion in residential repair needs. And then, of course, residential assistance, this is stuff for like displaced individuals, temporary housing, property, personal property, things like that is $3 to $5 billion from the hurricane. So it's just, to me, it's just crazy when you start to look at that number.
Oh, it is. Well, I know we fed a lot of people for free at breakfast right after Helene at the VFW.
Right.
And we had people bringing pictures in. Mm-hmm. And one of the pictures, I used to fish quite a bit when I was young up Harrods Creek, and it just looked like the trees everywhere. The damage was far exceeded what happened in Tater Hill Lake busted.
Yeah, right.
In 76, 77 when it busted. Mm-hmm. And I remember somebody showed the Montessori school at Harrods Creek, and I told somebody last night that's the second time the water level's been that high. That's a pretty stout building. Yeah. That building was built correctly to withstand the 77 and then Helene.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, you're right. Just the amount of not to throw numbers and money at everything, but just the amount of outpour and help that was brought in is probably untold numbers. In terms of like you said, neighbors helping neighbors, people feeding each other, giving each other supplies, the amount of water that came in, the amount of supplies that came in across the state. It's crazy.
We stored a lot of stuff at the VFW for folks, or not folks, but to give away. And we sent a lot. We were in debate on whether to go Asheville, go to the Ashe or Allegheny counties, and most people don't talk about those counties, but they got pretty. Allegheny got today on the news this morning. They were talking about Allegheny County, how bad it actually got hit, because New River does run north,
right,
and
then water goes with the river.
Yeah, and I remember calling my aunt. My aunts live in Charleston, West Virginia, mm-hmm. where the New River comes in with the gully to form the Kanawha River.
Right.
And I told them, I said, it's coming your way. And it got pretty high. I can't remember exactly what they told me, how high above the high water level it got.
Yeah.
At least they can open the locks and flood the Ohio. So, but it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't even talk about downstream too much because, again, we're focused on this. But think of one of the most fascinating pictures that I've seen is I love Limbo Falls. I think it's a beautiful waterfall in general. But when it doesn't really look like a waterfall because it's so much water, after Helene. But we don't even talk about where that water went, downstream and stuff. And so because we're so, there was so much damage, we're focusing on, naturally.
That goes in the Catawba system, doesn't it?
Well, and that's my point. Is like we don't think about downstream, and I don't think any of these numbers I'm reading. This is all sticking to Western North Carolina, and so we're not expanding out. And the New River. I mean, the radio station here. We no longer have the location where the river runs or the creek runs behind us, but it's underneath. It's underneath us. It's still here.
Yeah, it's still Kraut Creek to me. So,
the water here at the radio station goes into the New River, and it goes into, like you said, it goes up through West Virginia and into the Ohio there, and so it's like that's a lot of damage up through there that didn't get the hurricane damage, but got the water river damage for sure.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, and again, just sort of the water damage, just these figures, and it's just, and we're not even talking about like loss of jobs, loss of everything else. This is just
income,
construction, home damage here. And there's lots of things here that we should think about. That is the assessed damages versus the insured damages, because maybe we'll save that for the next break. But when you get into insurance numbers, those numbers don't really reflect everything because, well, sadly, not everything was covered under insurance too. So,
no, it's not.
Yeah. We'll take a break. We'll come right back.
Calling all hungry heroes. It's time to fuel up for the day at the VFW's all-you-can-eat breakfast. That's right. Every first Saturday of the month from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., you can enjoy a heaping helping of crispy bacon, juicy sausage, perfectly cooked eggs, golden hash browns, biscuits and gravy, and so much more, only for $15. Whether you're a veteran, a family member, or just a friend of the VFW, you're welcome to join us for this delicious tradition. Come share stories, laughter, and good company while you fill your plate with all your breakfast favorites. Don't miss out on the VFW's all-you-can-eat breakfast every first Saturday of the month from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. See you there.
That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Happy Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking a little bit the anniversary of Hurricane Helene. 1 year ago, September, I got it right this time, September 27th, 2024.
Correct.
So here we are, the 27th, 2025.
He's awake now.
I'm awake now, yes. And again, the rain hit Florida as a Category 4 on the 26th, but being on All About Home Construction here, based out of the high country of North Carolina, we're selfishly worried more about the 27th, which is when it hit us. And just, again, depending on how you look at it and what numbers and what specific square mile you're on, we got anywhere from 20 to 30 inches of rain. And that's a lot of rain.
Yes, it is. One thing we talked about off the air was the Pigeon River, the damage it did to 40.
Yes. Oh, and that's really still doing it. I
Correct.
mean, they open it up and it falls back down because, because it's not completely fixed. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
And we was talking about the river systems.
Yeah.
And one of the ones we was talking about was the French Broad, which is part of Pigeon River.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of us didn't talk, or we didn't hear a lot about Tennessee, okay?
Right.
But we did hear about Buncombe, Henderson, Buncombe, Madison counties, which is part of the French Broad River. Swannanoa runs into it.
Well, I mean, if you have driven anywhere 1 hour radius, especially north, south, and west of Boone, it's crazy.
You're in the river system.
Yeah, I went up through, Damascus, Virginia, right? Like that, you go up through Mountain City, Damascus, so less than an hour away. You are now, you're now in another state, but it's still a region. And for a while there, the road was gone.
Yeah,
there was no road, and
thanks to coal miners of West Virginia for that.
Still driving through there today, though, you can see where they put in this new road, and said like that, and then. When you get down towards between Johnson City, when you go south towards Asheville before you get into the state line there, when you get into like Unicoi and stuff, like that's devastated. That still looks terrible through there, and it's just so much.
Well, that's part of the headwaters of the Tennessee River up that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you get through. So it's not just, I don't want to say it's just northwestern North Carolina. We were certainly the largest impacted, I guess, in terms of putting it on a map, but that's it. But what's crazy for me too is just the severe flooding. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just water coming up, which was the biggest part of it. But we had landslides that led to, and sinkholes, and things like that. But the wind, I think it was so overwhelming that the water was so overwhelming that we we sort of forgot about the wind. We couldn't, we had so much to talk about. We couldn't talk about the wind too. And have you driven out towards like Cove Creek? And there's a couple places there that I'm really curious. I'd love to talk to a meteorologist. Was there tornado winds that popped down there? Because there's some places over there that like the tops of the trees are gone. It looks just like a tornado came through.
Yeah.
Or a straight line wind or something, and I'm no meteorologist. I don't know that I haven't seen anything that's official on that.
I don't know how it couldn't.
But that's the devastation looks just like what it does to some dude on the radio, It's just wild and crazy. And
Well, think about South Carolina. They got it twice. Being part of the Catawba River system. What water when the hurricane went through, come back, the water did.
Yeah. You're right. So, it's just lots of again, just crazy stuff. I think, I don't want to dive in too much on insurance because I know that's a hard subject to talk about because there's just it's so the information is so dependent on the situation, but less than according to North Carolina Newsline, less than 5.2% of the homeowners in Western North Carolina had flood insurance.
And then if you had a mudslide on your house because you didn't have earthquake insurance, you didn't get covered for that.
Right, they were not covered under the standard homeowner policy, and I think that's to me is part of the issue is that flood insurance, the people who lost and had lots of damages, they were considered under the flooding, mudslides, water in basements and stuff that weren't covered in like your standard homeowner policy, insurance policy.
Well, we've never had we've always had storms.
Right.
Hugo knocked down a lot of trees, but we didn't have the water.
We didn't have water. Exactly. There were quite a bit of people, of course, as you can imagine, filing roof claims, damage claims for roofs, tree damages, trees falling on it, that kind of thing, wind-driven rain causing interior damage. And now that interior rain, rain causing interior damage, certainly it would be covered under a typical policy, I believe. But again, it comes into where is that, did the basement flood because of that? Probably not. The basement flood because of the flooding, right? So, for instance, you lots of cases where people are getting, the insurance companies coming in. They're like, oh well, we're giving you, you're covered for the roof damage because the tree came through the house, but the basement flooding. Oh, sorry about that. That's flood. You didn't have flood insurance.
Yeah,
and so there's just a lot of that, and that's where I'm saying like it's so hard to talk about insurance because there's just a lot of that like fine point stuff that's so dependent on the situation.
Well, I can talk about insurance.
Yeah,
because I've had some weird ones.
Right, that's true. You've dealt
the last 3 weeks.
You've been dealing with them.
One company turned me down because I didn't have enough egress to my. And we've been with them 38 years. We've been with them since 1987. And they said, well, you don't have enough egress to your basement.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I have a 10-foot egress into my basement door. Code only requires 3 feet.
Right.
All right. So they're canceling our policy, which I threatened to shoot their drone.
Yeah.
I said, you come on my property with your drone and didn't tell me you're coming. I don't give a shit. There I cussed again. I'm sorry. All right. And another insurance company, which we had a policy for a year, turned around and canceled me because I had a farmer's rider on my equipment, which I didn't lose any equipment in the storm because I moved it. Then this is really going to jolt a lot of you. Insurance company wouldn't write my policy because I had a metal roof.
That's crazy, though. That makes no sense to me.
And then another insurance company denied me coverage because I had solar panels on my roof. So what the hell is going on with these insurance companies? I know that they have to pay these damages, but we've been paying for 30-some years and never had a claim.
Right.
60 Minutes did a special on this about national companies turning people down because of they got a spot on the roof.
Right.
Because of the algae that grows on your shingles And that's not in any control of you. That comes from manufacturer.
Exactly. Well, one of the reoccurring themes that we saw or hear about and still hear about is insurers determining what was flood versus or stormwater, not the wind-driven rain. And so, for instance, lots of people were saying, the structural damage was there's no proof of wind damage because you weren't missing any shingles.
Correct.
But clearly it was. And I couldn't find any information on foundation and structural damages in terms of insurance, but I mean, clearly there was. I just couldn't find any numbers on that. But,
well, they would try to deny it.
But a lot, right. But
I had no claim during the lane at all. We had no water in the house.
Yeah.
All right. We had no roof blew off. No tree damage around my house because 2 years before that, we started clearing the trees out, which me and Terry's talked about. Backing your trees off. Yeah, it looks great. But it doesn't look great when a tree comes down on your house.
Right.
Like an oak tree. Let's take a red oak tree.
Yep.
All right. I know that a red oak tree weighs 65 pounds a cubic foot in the wood.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mass coming down on your roof. And
you're right.
So I was already doing preventative maintenance around my house in case a storm was ever to come, in which it did.
Yeah. Well, over half the damaged homes in the region were not covered under the floodplain, and because of that, they're now they were not eligible for the National Flood Insurance Program. But again, it goes back to what we were talking about before, right? When we were talking about at some point, is this going to redo our floodplains?
Yes, they are. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe we can get a plant inspection inspector,
right,
to talk about that sometime.
That'd be fun. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take our last break, and we'll come right back all about home construction. Thanks for listening to us.
Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies, such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304.
That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Share the podcast with your friends and family and loved ones.
Oh, we do appreciate it.
We do. We really do. We appreciate it a lot. And that's why we do this. We do this for you guys. We enjoy it. And we do it for all of our listeners out there. And again, talking about the 1 year anniversary of Hurricane Helene and especially the impact on Western North Carolina, not just here in the high country, but Western North Carolina in general. But we're partial to the high country, so
well, being we live here, but we were just talking about all the other states that got the damage from our watershed.
Exactly,
or the storm itself.
Yeah, but so as we look at it again a year later, there's quite a bit of things going on today. There's some celebrations and some dedications going on. I was talking to a good friend of the show, Dr. Scott Elliott, and he's going to Lansing. The governor's going to be there. He's going to be part of that event. And at 10 o'clock, it's maybe a little, well, you still got time to get to Lansing from here, yeah, if you're listening. But there's the river access and ribbon cutting is going on there, and the governor again going to be there. And it's good to know that statewide they've not completely forgot about North Carolina. And again, goes back to what you were saying. A lot of the national news is focusing on Asheville and stuff. And don't get me I don't mean to talk bad about Asheville. Sympathy goes out to them too. But again, we're focusing on the high country, and so it's good to see that the governor giving some love to the high country.
Let's think about all those people that lived in tents last winter.
Yeah.
And coming into the spring.
A rough winter too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But also here in the county, here in Watauga County, there's Hope After Helene. There's a resource fair going on today at the Jones House downtown from 2 to 6 o'clock. So that, again, just some of those organizations and stuff that's still going on. And of course, those of you that listen to WATA, that Mark, in the morning, this whole week, Mark Norris has had people on, and I was listening to him yesterday, actually on my way to work, talking about some people and just some of the organizations that are still helping in this recovery too. A couple of them that he told me to mention was the Baptist on Mission, Fosco Home Team, Samaritan's Purse, Wine to Water. Those are people who are still actively involved in Western North Carolina.
Thank y'all.
Exactly. And again, in places, Randy, dear to your heart is like the VFW and stuff. Like there's still lots of organizations that are out there helping people that need help in this recovery a year later. I think we just donated our last stuff to Salvation Army that we had in the basement.
Yeah. And but it was amazing. Have to give a big shout out to the Marine Corps League from the East Coast.
That's awesome.
I mean, they brought trucks up with clothing and stuff like that, medical supplies.
Yeah.
Some of the big things that they brought up that we give out was baby milk, baby diapers.
That's awesome, yeah.
Bottles, stuff like that. I mean, we're just a small organization. But we give out a lot of stuff.
And that's the key. So, all right. Well, in our last couple of minutes here, I would like to talk a little bit about some home repair and recovery topics, just briefly here, because here we are a year after Helene. And again, lots of Band-Aids were put on houses. And so now it's, I think we're a year out. And are you seeing a lot, or do you think lingering water damage such as mold and stuff, basements, crawl spaces? Do you think that's? Are you seeing issues, I guess, of that still that you didn't know about? I mean, I know there was this stuff you think popping up still, or
there's still stuff out there, that's going on. There's still people out there that's not been fixed yet.
Right.
Insurance have been slow to pay people. Now, to give you an idea, I put an estimate on a house. They had flood insurance and regular insurance. Mm-hmm. And then FEMA come in, and with all three insurances that they had, it only covered about 20% of the damage repair cost.
Right.
So here they are spending money out of their own pocket to fix their house.
Exactly.
Because, they came in here, but they left as fast as they went.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but they said they had 750 trailers in North Carolina that went to California after the fires.
Right.
But I do know that one client that I have 3 months ago finally got his camper from FEMA.
Okay. 3 months ago. Wow.
Yeah.
After the winter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. So lightning round here. What do you think? Foundation and structural integrity, is that something from the hurricane we're still popping up, I guess?
Yeah, I have Clean Space getting ready to do a crawl space for us.
Okay.
That's still, even though it's been dry, they're in a hollow that has a lot of moisture in it.
Yeah.
And it's creeping into the house.
All right. Water intrusion and roof missing shingles, things like that.
And we've made a lot of repairs on shingles, but we've not done any full roof replacement.
Okay.
All right. Now, we've not had to do any metal replacement. We've had to do some repairs. All right. But most people in the high country do pretty good.
Engineering, electrical, that's the word I'm looking for. Electrical and mechanical systems, HVAC, things like that. Wow, breaker boxes. Are you still seeing sort of repairs and maintenance because of the hurricane from that?
No, not really.
Okay. So most of that's because that makes sense, because most of that a year later we've already dealt with. We've had to. Yeah. Right. So that makes sense. And this one is one that pops up, I think, today because it's raining on the anniversary, right, is landscaping and drainage. In other words, the drainage that's changed now thanks to the hurricane floods.
Well, it has. That's a fact. we've had, believe it or not, this tree survived Helene, but we knew it was coming down, and it's took just about a year for that tree to finally come over on the house, in which we took it down a couple weeks ago. We were quite lucky. Think about the manpower that we have up here. We have a lot of tree companies, but think about, we don't have that many tree companies, but there's quite a few.
Right.
And there was no way in the world they could keep up.
Exactly.
Like the day after Helene, when I met all those people above my house, and we was trying to come to town, and we couldn't get through because the bank had slid off and went through my neighbor's garage door, pushed his truck through his garage door.
Exactly.
And so I cleaned out from top of 194 all the way to Broadstone. I was meeting people coming because they had chainsaws, but I got to, these Latinos were going, we got to get to South Carolina. Right. And I said, well, the road's blocked below my house, and I don't have a chainsaw.
Right.
Well, I mean, I had a chainsaw. And they said, we got a chainsaw, and we got gas. We'll cut them if you'll push them out of the way. And I pushed 1-lane road all the way to Broadstone.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And the school people were working at Valley Crucis School. And I said, y'all got any diesel fuel? I said, you got all that equipment? They say, no, we don't have any diesel fuel at all. We can land you. And if it wouldn't have been for a gentleman from Valley Crucis, don't even know his name, brought me a 5-gallon bucket of diesel fuel, and that's how I got home.
Right.
So we are mountain strong.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. One thing we found out is we're mountain strong, and we it's heritage. People in the mountains have always been prideful and resilient, and in modern times we almost forget that. I think we often forget our roots, and it's sad that it took this devastation to bring it back, but there is that, right? Like, and I do appreciate those deep roots and those, that mountain strong, like you said. We're gonna get through it, and clearly a year later, as we look back, we have gotten through it. Not to say we're out of the woods yet, and things are gonna certainly they're changed for a life, in some cases, but as a community and as a high country, we're getting through it. We're a year later, we're recovering. A year ago today, we would not have realized where we were today. We would not have expected that. So,
well, that's a fact. And one thing I want everybody to remember: the people that lost their lives.
Oh yeah.
Me and Terry was talking about earlier. The count that North Carolina has does not meet the count that the USDA has.
Yeah.
All right.
Which doesn't meet the count that. When you talk to people and you start to realize this and this and this and this, it doesn't add up either.
And engineers and stuff like that. But USDA put us down at 203 deaths.
Yeah.
North Carolina still doesn't rate it that high.
No. And anyone you talk to, I think if you talk to the average person on the street, their personal estimate's going to be way, way higher.
Yeah. And those people, got to give a big shout out to them for what they did, helping rescue people or getting the bodies out. But thanks to everybody for what they did.
That's it. Well, mountain strong. That's how we're going to end it, right?
That's
mountain strong. So thanks again for listening to us. Share this with some friends and on the podcast all about home construction. It's been fun.
It has.
So Randy, we'll do it again next week, and we'll get back into all about home construction. And again, just thanks for listening to us. Take it easy, buddy. Stay dry this week. Who knows what the weather's going to do?
Well, they don't know what this weather's going to do.
It could go one way or the other. But anyway, take care, and we'll talk to you later. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to All About Home Construction. We air every week on Saturday mornings on WATA in Boone. Please like this podcast, comment, share it. Hey, let everybody know where you found it. Thanks for listening.